What's up, everybody? It's Tim, High Noons Vinyl, your friendly neighborhood vinyl guy, back again. Got another collection update for us today. So let's just go ahead and get started off. Been in this funk and soul and blues mood that kind of started a couple weeks ago. Can't shake it. I'm going to keep on embracing it, and I got plenty of things over here that I haven't shown, so pulled out some good funk and soul and blues. And we started it off at the top. Hold On, I'm Coming. Sam and Dave, probably two of the funkiest singers who didn't like each other.
That's a turtle.
It is a turtle. So, yep, you hear him. He'll be here. There he is. So, Sam and Dave, obviously, there's no love lost between these two, but when they hit the stage, they hit the studio, just magic would happen, well, obviously with the Stax House Band. Up next, I completed my Run the Jewels stuff. I picked up Run the Jewels 4 from Brad over at H2 Vinyl. Haven't seen you around in a while, Brad. I need to reach out to you, see how you're doing. And last year, they reissued on another campaign Run the Jewels 1, Run the Jewels 2, and then not to be missed, Run the Jewels 3. I'm a big fan of Run the Jewels. I've really enjoyed the fact that Run the Jewels, you've got LP El Producto from Brooklyn, part of the company Flow, really underground. Then you have Killer Mike, Southern rapper from Alabama, from Atlanta. Wow, I don't know. I had a brain fart on that. Got co-signed kind of by Big Boy and Andre 3000, Outkast on Aquemini. Love the fact that their worlds kind of collided and they formed such a strong bond and partnership. They really did, I think, bring the best out of each other. They're very heavily politically charged, which is great. It's good to hear some of that conscious style rap, heavy beats, heavy lyrics. I'm just a big fan. So.
Hey, he's here now.
Oh. The true stars of the show. So, up next, a gift from my brother from another, Mr. Jeff Kempen.
I thought it was brother from another mother.
It is, but you can kind of shorten it to brother from another. He sent me a copy of Billy Preston's Encouraging Words. He actually sent a copy of this to my other brother from another, my twin. You'll see the resemblance. Bill over at the Vinylverse. He sent a copy of this to both of us. We had commented, he was spinning it, and we had commented that we both needed to get a copy of it. And lo and behold, boom, it shows up at our door. That stinky guy. So you're just talking about coming off the heels of working with the Beatles on the Let It Be sessions. So he does do some covers here. My Sweet Lord. He covers I Got a Feeling. He covers All Things Must Pass. But the one that I'm going to give you a taste of is probably my crowning jewel, my highlight of this album. And when it played, I forgot just how much I absolutely love this song. And that one is Sing One for the Lord. So let's check that one out.
You know, sometimes when I stop and think about how good God's been to me, I have to raise my voice and sing one to him. And you know what? When I do that, I feel so much better, y'all. And I know it'll do the same for you. So why don't you sing one for the Lord? It ain't no harm to sing for the Lord.
Keeping with the blues. So a while back, this was a while back, saw an ad on Facebook. Someone was selling pieces of a collection that were left, I'm guessing from a relative who had passed or something of that nature. I wasn't 100% certain. It took us a while to kind of figure everything out and come up to a price. And got it all in. I mean, this was a while ago, and finally getting to cleaning it and spinning it. And that's where the Sam and Dave came from. I've got more pieces that are going to be coming up in the videos to come. But another piece in that collection that I picked up was this wonderful comp on Fantasy Records of John Lee Hooker. So this one is Black Snake, and this is just a great 2 LP set of just some incredible tunes. Let's see if I can get that to, it may not focus in, but you've got Black Snake, How Long Blues, Wobblin' Baby, Prison Bound, Waterboy, Church Bell Tone, Democrat Man, I'm Wandering, I Need Some Money. It's an absolutely fantastic comp. Had to clean it a couple times, if I'm being honest, just to make sure that, because it's Hooker and a guitar. I mean, this is a lot of stripped down stuff. So I wanted the essence of this to really come through. So a piece there.
Sorry, Socio was a little hungry. I had to get his bread.
Next up, a classic. So this one is recently reissued by Craft Recordings, Albert King's Born Under a Bad Sign. Been wanting this one for a very long time, but I just never see it. And if I do, it's either beat or expensive, because I never see even reissues from recent memory. It's either older ones, which, okay, yeah, I wouldn't mind having an original press, but they get pricey. And this is one of those ones that I really just kind of, I could probably would deal with a VG copy, but I'm trying to stay away from that level with albums that I know that are just going to be that important to me and get spun that much. So when I saw the Craft was redoing this one, done from the original masters, Jeff Powell over at Takeout Vinyl did the mastering on this, and honestly it sounds fantastic. And again, you've got Booker T, that wonderful backing group that just kind of ran the gambit for Stax. They're on this as well, so just phenomenal stuff. And of course, it would be wrong of me if I didn't give you a little love off the title track.
Born on a bad sign. Been down since I began to crawl. If it wasn't for bad luck, you know I wouldn't have no luck at all.
Up next, another Albert King added this one to the collection. This is Livewire Blues Power, another one on Stax. This is that purple rainbow, purple and white Stax label, so it's a little bit more of a reissue. Picked this one up from, actually, Rob, you remember Black Star Vinyl. He actually sprung for the cash on this one through a mutual friend, Kathy, who runs Music and More that I've shopped frequent. Sprung for this one for me. I always need more Albert Blues, so adding, or Albert Blues, geez, oh my gosh, I always need more Albert King. So with all the Record Store Day albums that are getting shown, I didn't go. There were some things that were on my list, things that were in my interest, but most, if not all, if I'm being honest, they were Record Store Day firsts. I know some of those can be a little slow to get reissued, but I'm willing to take my chances. And there are some things that I would be interested in, but just didn't want to shell out the cash at the time. Things have been tight, so just, I said scrap it. But kind of in the spirit, I did want to pull a Record Store Day record that hadn't shown. So this one's from Record Store Day Black Friday 2019. And this is the JBs. This one is More Mess on My Thing. So this one is actually kind of studio outtakes, demos of when Bootsy Collins was joining the JBs. before they were going to go in and record, James Brown had asked Bootsy and his band to go in and kind of cut a couple of demos. So what you get here is on side one, you get More Mess on My Thing and The Wedge. But on the B side, you get this wonderful medley of songs that they were kind of doing in Ohio at the time. It was, and they called it When You Feel It, Grunt It If You Can. Or Grunt If You Can. And there is just some phenomenal stuff. If I was still kind of sampling, kind of like, I mean, I did a little bit of it in the 80s and 90s. There's so many drum breaks on this, it's ridiculous. But the funk is just dripping top to bottom. So I'm going to give you a couple of pieces off of this 21 minute epic song, which is, like I said, it was called When You Feel It, Grunt If You Can. You're going to hear some things you're going to recognize, maybe even something from my boy. So check it out. Get your dancing shoes on because you're not going to sit still.
Awesome.
All right, up next, I think this guy's ready to check out, so he's out.
So Seal is gonna go heel. He's gonna stay. Trying to get him in. So please go in. I don't want you falling on the dog. Okay.
All right, there he goes. He wanted to go do other things, so.
Here's his bread.
So next, pick this one up. So if you're familiar with this one, this is the Gray album. It was a quote-unquote mashup album from Danger Mouse, who did this. Took the acapellas from Jay-Z's The Black Album, created beats off of the Beatles' White Album, called it the Gray Album. This one was one that on streaming services, downloads, it made a lot of noise. Now, obviously, this wasn't one that could have been commercially released, and this one is not a commercial release. This is an unauthorized, if you will. Found it someplace for a decent price, and I was like, I haven't heard this in a long time. Went ahead and picked it up, and it's a nostalgic piece for me. Some of the things that Danger Mouse did with this album, I think were fantastic. I think they were a fun novelty of an alternative way to listen to the Black Album. There's certain things that, to me, just kind of fell flat. One in particular is the interlude track Public Service Announcement. So if you know the Black Album, Public Service Announcement was a beat by Just Blaze, and he kind of had it. Like, it was like a beat he was working on, and he had played it for Jay, and Jay was like, hold on. And he loved it, and he was coming back and forth in between doing interviews for what was going to be the Black Album's release and talking about it, but he's in the back writing it in his head. Jay-Z is known for not writing down his lyrics. It's in his head. So he'd come back, he would spit 8 bars, listen to it, liked it, and so he did this throughout the process of the day. But that original beat on Public Service Announcement it's one of those ones that just gets me amped up. So with this one, I wasn't a fan of this version, but there's some fun stuff on here. But this is more of a nostalgic piece for me, not probably something most people would need to own. Which takes us to this one. This is going to rank really, really high for me on my 2023 list. Excuse me. This is another solo effort, if you will, away from the roots for Black Thought. This time he's with the L. Michaels Affair. So the L. Michaels Affair is a kind of soul jazz ensemble. Kind of think Roots, but the Roots are a little bit more stripped down. This is a little bit punchier at times, the L. Michaels Affair. They definitely are a little bit more experimental, which I really, really, really like for Black Thought, because he is an accomplished lyricist. He's an accomplished musician in his own right. And the fact that I think that they challenge each other and they do get a little experimental. But what I like about this is that this isn't, at this point in his career, Black Thought has nothing to prove to anybody. So he doesn't need to be braggadocious. The lyrics are incredible. The lyrics are amazing. His flow is amazing. But this is what I expect out of an accomplished lyricist who's conscious and has something to say. This is hip hop poetry. This is soul jazz funk poetry. This was a very enjoyable listen that I cannot stop. Yes, there's a couple of experimental pieces that might turn some people off in a way, but I welcome that challenge, because having listened to hip hop for what feels like almost 50 years, it's something that I welcome the new, I welcome the challenge at times. So the fact that this had a couple pieces get a little out there, absolutely enjoyed. So I'm going to give you a sample of this one to kind of whet your appetite. I'm going to give you the thing. I'm pretty sure that was the lead-off single off of this one. Oops. It was called Grateful. So check out Black Thought and L. Michaels Affair, The Glorious Game. Just came out a couple weeks ago. Absolutely fantastic stuff.
3 for the money, 2 for the hustle, and 1 for the nighttime. Spread over the city like a comforter. Prime time for the predators who come to hunt for the chumps. Carrying them high notes like a trumpeter. They shoot as straight as arrows and run through the shadows as sons of a gun or dirty young caballeros with marks on their collars where they hung from the gallows. Their lust for the dollars keep them red like the tarots.
Last but not least but not last, De La Soul is dead. So with De La Soul now having controlling rights of their first 6 albums, they have officially announced the release schedule is going to be 1 a month. I've got them all pre-ordered. They're all covered. I'm getting them all. It's not even up for debate. Number 2. So the second album, De La Soul is Dead, really was a very pivotal album looking back for De La Soul. So groundbreaking album, very commercially successful, spawned a ton of hits, sold bazillion copies. Even with the legal issues, it was everywhere. Everyone knew who De La Soul was. But I think their concept of the Daisy Age missed a mark, because it stood for the inner sound, y'all, or the inner sound, y'all. And because it missed the mark, everyone kind of latched onto the daisies, the hippies, made it think like they were the hippies of hip hop. And yes, they had their own style, but I don't know if that's exactly what they were necessarily going for. But Tommy Boy Records ran with the marketing. Everyone kind of labeled them as that. Really wasn't where they were going. So they were looking at a tour schedule on the board in Tommy Boy Records, and it just said that they were going to be all over. And Trugoy, as the story has been told, Trugoy just goes over there, wipes all their names off of it because they were going to be so busy, and just writes De La Soul is dead as a joke. Well, it stuck and became this album. This is another one of those that, because of the concepts and the skits that were introduced in their first album, 3 Feet High and Rising, with the game show feel, they took it to a new level on this one. So the concept was that somebody, and if you knew the single for Me, Myself, and I, there was a track and it featured this young kid, Jeff. Well, Jeff was featured in this album as well. And he found a De La Soul tape, and it was in the garbage. And he's accosted, everybody wants to hear it. And it turns out these 3 bigger kids end up stealing it from him. And that's the story that kind of propels the album, are the kids, are these guys listening to the album and commenting on it with sarcasm, jokes, things like that. And it tells the story of how I think De La was just trying to get away from that whole Daisy hip hop movement, hence the cover. But the songs themselves, this truly, while 3 Feet High and Rising is a masterpiece and a 10 out of 10, this one's probably a 9.8, 9.7, because it just has some fantastic moments. One of my favorite songs from De La Soul, Keeping the Faith, is on here. Ring, 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 Ha Ha Hey is on here. Millie Pulled a Pistol on Santa is on here. Let Me In. The big dance hit roller skating jam called Saturdays is on here. There was just a ton of great music on here from De La Soul, and they were still very much in their creative pocket. And it wouldn't be till their third album that I think that they embraced a little bit more of the jazz sound that was happening from groups like Tribe Called Quest and what have you. But with this one, I mean, the samples are still as ever abundant as they were on 3 Feet High and Rising. And honestly, another crowning achievement for them with this album. It's just, again, and I know I've said this before, very sad to see that Dave Trugoy, Plug 2, is not seeing the success of all this. But these albums are readily available. If you missed any of the pressings for 3 Feet High and Rising, they are reissuing it on black vinyl. This one is on black vinyl. I did not see any color variants. The only thing I've seen on a color variant so far has been 3 Feet High and Rising, and I'm afraid that my OCD may go get a couple more, but as you can see, 2 LP black vinyl. The next one, Balloon Mind State, is due to come out, and it's already taken care of. Whoops, things are falling. So, but that's it. That's what I got. So next one, hopefully will be in the next few days, will be another 7-inch collection video. I'm still trying to get through all the stuff that I had over there. Just trying to keep the music going and keep things entertaining. So with that, from Oliver, who's off playing in video games in the other room, and Sir Seal, yours truly, I am out. We'll talk to everybody later. We love you all. Here he comes. Peace.